Hey guys, go ahead and get your math notebook. Label it at the top. Today is the 19th? Yes, the 19th. We are working with volume. And guys, let's talk math here. I keep it real with you guys for math. And we've talked about math that I like. We've talked about math that I don't like. We've talked about math that you like and math that you don't like. Okay, everybody's got their own preferences. Everybody has their own talents in math and are stronger and weaker at different points. The math lesson that we're doing today is probably my least favorite one. I think of all 5th grade math. It's a little challenging and I just don't feel, I don't know, I'm just not into it. Okay, I know some math that I like, you guys don't like. I really like fractions. I didn't like fractions when I was your age, but I do like fractions now and I like teaching them. But I know you guys aren't that crazy about fractions. Okay, everybody's got their preferences, and there's nothing wrong with being honest about math that you're good at and math that you're still struggling and need to practice more on. Volume is one of them that I need to put more effort into myself, that I'm better at it, and maybe I would like it more. Okay, so on today's lesson with volume, we learned yesterday that volume, imagine this is a 3D shape. I'm not going to, here, let's see.
I'm going to make them easier.
Is that like a cube, kind of?
No.
No.
I know how to make a cube.
This is supposed to be a cube, no. We're done. Okay.
And then you want
So if I had to find the volume of this cube, this is so bad.
no, that's so good.
At the top?
No.
Okay.
Do this now.
No, yep, and you get it better.
You go to the
Okay, you guys know, you know this is supposed to be a cube, okay? If I wanted to find the volume of this cube, what would be my equation that I would use for it? Mason?
Length times width.
You're so close. Length times width
Height.
times height. Very good. And we like to use initials because we like trying to make it easier on ourselves and not give us more work. So V stands for volume, L length, W width, and H height. Very nice. Okay, so they would give me these 3 numbers and I would multiply them and I got my volume. Okay, one other option for volume was that they gave you a different number. Does anybody know what that number was, Charlie?
It was base.
Base times,
Width.
is it base times width?
No, the width is height.
Oh, base times height. I heard base times length. Look it up in your notebook. I heard 3 different answers. Base times what?
Height.
Height. Okay, so that would be another option of a different number they would give us to work with. Okay, today, this lesson is going to have, for example, a shape that might look something like that. Okay, and you're going to have to find the volume. Now, to find the volume of this shape, it gets a little different because I need to make this shape into 2 rectangular prisms. So I could cut it this way to give me shape 1 and then shape 2, or I could cut it this way and make this shape 1 and shape 2. So then you would find the volume of shape 1, find the volume of shape 2, and then add them together. Or find the volume of shape 1 like this, the volume of shape 2 like this, and then add them together. Okay? So there's going to be different ways to get to our answers depending on how you want to cut up your shape. Okay? Now this is not a new skill because we learned yesterday how to find our volume. It's just with our shapes today, we're going to have to do it twice. Okay? We're going to have to find the volume twice and add those together. Because this shape right here, it looks kind of like an L, right? I can't, that's not a rectangular prism that my formula would work for. So I have to make it into 2 rectangular prisms, this way or this way. Your answer would be the same either way you divide it here. Okay? Now, the tricky part in this, and I think this is probably the part that I don't like, is that you're going to have, and you're going to see lots of different numbers because they're going to give you the length here, the width here, the height here. And sometimes it's overwhelming to see lots of the numbers and decipher which which number goes where? What number is meaning this height over here or this width over here? Okay, it's kind of overwhelming to look at. I just don't like the way it looks. And I feel like I'm kind of a balanced person, so I like my shapes symmetrical. So I like my cubes, okay? I don't like kind of these unique shapes. Again, just my preference, okay? Now, I already heard some people go, ooh, I like that, okay? And again, that's how math is. Some of you guys might really like this and enjoy it. Some of you may be like me and say no, okay? Everybody's different, and that's okay. Either way, we gotta learn it though, right? So we gotta get through it. All right, so I have a video and a song. Grab both lights for me, please.
What happens when you're asked to find the volume of a figure like this? You can't just start multiplying all the numbers together and hope to come up with the volume, because our formula says volume equals length times width times height. Well, we can't figure out one height. Here, for instance, we have 5 centimeters here and 2 centimeters. So what do? Well, to do this problem, you have to actually break them up into two smaller solids. So now you can start to see how this is broken up. You can see that we have a rectangle.
So you see,
They
use kind of the same shape that I used in my example. It kind of looks like an L, but notice already we've got lots of numbers already all over, right? That's the part that I said kind of can look overwhelming, is to go, wait, this 4, where's that 4 for? Wait, what part is this 2 for? Where does that mean? Do you see how that can start getting a little confusing and kind of overwhelming? So you really got to try and keep it simple in your mind and go, okay, I know this 5 is the length of this whole part of this shape right here, okay? You really just got to break it down and not let it overwhelm you.
Prism here and a prism here, both rectangular prisms.
So I definitely like you to always number your prisms, okay? So here he took his L shape here and divided it down here. Remember, our other option was to go across this way too. But then number them. This is going to be prism 1. This is going to be prism 2. Okay? You have to find the volume of this prism then. Find the volume of this prism. Okay? I wish he numbered his. I think that helps a little bit to keep him straight.
So now what do? You can see that I have highlighted certain numbers because those are the numbers we're going to use. To further illustrate that, why don't we pull them apart?
Now I love, because he's using technology, he can pull them apart, and that really now helps to see what numbers go where, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when you're working on your worksheet, when you're taking this as a test, you're not going to have that option to pull them apart, okay? Like he's doing it because he's using a computer on it. Now, if you want to try and draw them, you don't have to draw it 3D, I mean, because you saw how mine turned out. You can draw it just as a rectangle on your own then to separate them to have that 2 different views and write your numbers where they need to go.
Starting to make sense? So now we want to find the volume of this one and the volume of this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over a little bit so we have some room to work. So the first one, we're going to take the volume equals, again, write out your formula, length times width times height. We're going to look first for length. Right here is 2, so volume equals 2 times the height would give us 5. Oh, I'm sorry, we should be doing width. Width is also 2, and the height is 5. Now the order doesn't really matter because we're the commutative property of multiplication, but we're going to try to keep.
All right, so do you hear him say how the order doesn't matter because the commutative property? So do you guys remember, if you were doing subtraction, would it make a difference if I did 5 minus 2 or 2 minus 5? If you're subtracting? Yes. 2 minus 5, you're going to get a negative number. 5 minus 2 is 3. So big difference. If you're adding 2 plus 5 or 5 plus 2? Does that order matter?
No.
No, doesn't matter. You're still going to get 7. What about if you are dividing? 2 divided by 5 or 5 divided by 2? Does that order matter? Yes. What about when you multiply? 2 times 5 or 5 times 2? Does the order matter? No. 5 times 2 is still going to be 10, or 2 times 5, 10. Okay? So definitely keep that in mind when order matters. When you have your 3 numbers that you found, your length, width, and height, his order here actually doesn't matter. Okay? Those numbers could be interchangeable. But you did hear him say he is going to try and keep them in order. Okay? He's going to try and keep the L for length first, width, and height. Okay? But if you accidentally switch one of those, you're not going to get the incorrect answer then, as long as you use the correct 3 numbers.
All lined up for our sake. Now, volume equals 2 times 2 is 4 times 5, and the volume equals 20. Let's look at our label. Our label is centimeters, so we're going to have centimeters cubed. Let's go on to the other problem. Doing the same thing, we're going to have, first let me move that down a little bit, right here. Okay, we're going to have volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals, our length would be 4 centimeters, our width would be 2 centimeters, and our height would be 2 centimeters. So now, volume equals.
Now let's talk a little bit more on where your numbers go. So we said over here, these 3 numbers, if you accidentally put them in a different spot, that wouldn't matter, right? You'd still get 20 at the end. However, if you accidentally use this 4 as up here where this 2 is, and you put it over here, that's when it's going to matter. You have to have, for this prism, you have to have this correct 3 numbers, the correct 3 length, width, height. Okay? You cannot mix up these numbers with each other. This prism has its own dimensions. This prism has its own dimensions. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be your number 1 mistake on your homework tonight, is that you accidentally use some of the wrong numbers, and you accidentally maybe change this 2 for a 4 or this 5 for a 2 over here and flip-flop that way. Okay? They are not interchangeable. You got to make sure you can see which numbers go with which prism, okay?
Are we gonna have to write down all these steps too?
Are you going to have to write down these steps? Yes, none of this is mental math, and these are all steps you need. You're going to have to write down always your volume formula and then plug in your length, width, and height for each prism, okay? Remember though, these he took apart. These are actually connected. He's just showing you visually what they look like when you separate them.
4 times 2 is 8 times 2. Volume 8 times 2 is 16 centimeters cubed. We're not done yet, because to combine, if you see the word combine, combine means to add.
So we needed to know the volume of this whole shape here. How do I find now the volume of this whole shape? Remember, this piece slides back over here. It looks like an L. Hannah? Yeah, I have to take my volume from prism 1 over here, my volume from prism 2 over here, and add them together. That answer that you get when you add those 2 together, that's your final answer. Okay? So these problems, they are going to be 3-step problems. Volume 1, volume 2, and then combine. 3 steps. There are going to be lots of room for errors, because the more steps we have, if you make one simple mathematical mistake and accidentally put, remember yesterday, we were struggling with 5 times 5 times 5, right? One small mistake and you accidentally put 2 times 2 is 3, all of this work. And when you add them, combine them, all of that work was for nothing because you had one simple computation error, okay? The more steps, the more computation errors that there could be. Now, to avoid those computation errors, you need to take your time and check your work. Rushing is when those computation errors happen.
The last thing we want to do is add our 2 figures. So now we have 20 plus 16. And both these are centimeters cubed.
Remember that little 3 means what word? Cubed. If you want to write the word instead and write cubed, C-U-B-E-D, you can. Your choice, your preference.
20 plus 16 is 36 centimeters cubed. That is how you combine volume. So to combine volume, you really break up shapes, solids rather, into 2 separate small prisms and then solve them separately and add them together to get your answer of 36 centimeters squared. If you're still confused, do figures. So now we have...
All right. I also found, I liked this math guy. I thought he did a good job. He also has a song that I liked a lot. It's called the Volume Song.
Procrastination is my middle name. So solving a 3,000-piece puzzle sounded better than studying for...
It might sound crazy what I'm about to teach. Some are easy, others challenging. It's represented by a V. First you find multiply, don't forget to add a 3. It's called the volume. Solving problem you must find. Line up in one side. It's called the volume. Solving problem you must see. The width and discover the height. It's called the volume. Solving problem you must find. The product, but that's not it. It's called the volume. You have found the volume. Don't forget it's cubic units. When it's irregular, what you gonna do? Divide that shape up into 2.
Oh, he numbered them there. I like it.
Find the volumes of each one separately. And then together, just remember, don't you forget the 3. Yeah, it's called the volume. Solving problem you must find. Line up in one side. It's called the volume. Solving problem you must see. The width and discover the height. It's called the volume. Solving problem you must find. The product, but that's not it. It's called the volume. You have found the volume. Make sure it's cubic units. How much will go in? Get it measured now. How much will go in? Get it measured now. How much can go in? Get it measured now. How much can go in? It's called the volume. Solving problem you must find. The length of one side. It's called the volume. Solving problem you must see. The width and discover the height. It's called the volume. You must find the product, but that's not it. It's called the volume. You found the volume. Make sure it's cubic units.
All right. So let's take a look on your iPad. 12-7 worksheets. There are 2 of them here. Find the one. I think it's the second attachment. Looks like this. I'm going to do some of your homework with you. Now, there are 2 worksheets here, but ladies and gentlemen, there's only like a total of about 10 problems. Okay? It's just that they take up a lot of space because the figures are so big. All right, at the top of this one, I like it that it gives you a little information. It shows you the steps again if you need to go back to look at as a reference. Okay? All right. I want you on number 1. Get in here. Number 1, show 2 ways of dividing the given solid into 2 rectangular solids. Okay? If you want to do these problems in your math notebook and then take a picture, you can. Or if you want to do them on Notability, your choice.
It's one of those that they
Take a picture of it. Take a screenshot. All right, so show me just how they cut up and I cut up. I showed you on the prism. Cut that into 2 different ways. I think we've used this same similar shape now in our examples, so it'll be nice to do number 2 because it's kind of in a different shape. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your homework. So if you are choosing to sit there right now, you're just going to have to do it on your own. Do it with us. All right, number 1. It kind of looked like a long L. Okay, and we did this one together on the board where you could divide it along right here. And then this would be prism 1 and prism 2 here. Or you could divide it going down here. And this would be prism 1 and prism 2. Okay, that's what should be on your paper for number 1 there. Either way you cut your prism, you would get the same answer. Now, if you have your prism, let's do another one. Could I divide it, for example, down this way across? No, why not?
Because it's not in a line thingy.
It's not a line thingy. It wouldn't be a prism. Would that shape be a prism then? No. Having an angle on it? No. It needs to make a prism, a rectangular prism, okay? So you can't have lines going out on diagonals like that. Okay? All right, number 2. Here's a good one now. Number 2, you have to find the volume of the rectangular solid shown below. So you decide how you want to divide that solid figure there. I see 2 options also on this one. I want you guys to try it. Notice, there looks like there's lots of numbers, right? Okay? Slow down. If you have to, draw it out separately to show your 2 figures. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to work on this. I want you guys trying this. One more minute, and then we'll discuss. gentlemen, let's go over this one. All right, so we first need to divide this. Can I have my left light on, please? Actually, let's do right light, so we can still see the board too. All right, so number 2. It looks like. Okay, number 2 looks something like this. Hold on. Slide with me. Okay, and we have to now divide it into 2 parts. I'm going to choose to divide it like this. Okay, I have now prism 1 and prism 2. And I have to find the volume of both. Okay, so prism 1. The numbers I am going to be using. I have, let's go back over here to your picture. I have 8, my height of 3, and then my length of 4. So 8 times 3 times 4. Okay? Am I using that 7? No, because that 7 is going to get into the area of prism 2. Okay, that's not the area for prism 1. So, volume number 1, sliding back over, lots of back and forth today. Volume number 1 equals 3 times 4 times 8. Okay, what's 3 times 4? 12. What's 12 times 8?
96.
And our label is centimeters here, cubed. All right, volume number 2. I am working with width of 3, height of 4, length of 3, height of 4, width of 8. So 3 times 8 times 4. 3 times 8 times 4. Did we use the 1 at all? No. So there's going to be times you don't use all the dimensions. Now, how do you divide your prism? You could have gone across this way. Okay? Then you'd be using that 1. Okay? So it depends on how you divide your 2 prisms. Either way, if you do it correctly, you would get the same answer. What do we say? 8, 3, and 4. All right, what's 8 times 3? What's 24 times 4? Do we know? Do we need to work it out? 24 times 4. What's 4 times 4? 4 times 2? Plus 1? 96. What are the odds? I got 96 twice? Am I done?
Oh, you need to add them.
I need to add them. What is 96 plus 96?
192.
We are done. Ladies and gentlemen, even if you would have divided your prism, your solid here going across this way, okay, and this was figure 1 and this was prism 2, you still would have gotten the same answer, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I did 2 problems of your homework with you. That leaves you 6 problems to do on your other attachment for this worksheet, okay? It looks like... Oh, come on. It looks like so. 6 problems. Okay? I know it looks like a lot. I think it just looks like a lot because they have so many different numbers. Okay? That's the part that I think I don't like. And I just don't like irregular shapes. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys can do it though. Okay? You got this. All right, this is all you have then for math is these 6 problems. Work hard. All right, have a good weekend.